The current Israeli strategy must end. It cannot bomb its way to a solution. Just as we want justice for the Israelis murdered by Hamas, we also want justice for the Palestinian people. And that is not going to happen with Hamas. Mr. President, the situation in Gaza today is a disaster. Congress must take action. The administration must take action. The world must take action. The humanitarian crisis is dire and getting worse by the minute. There must be a humanitarian pause now so that sufficient supplies, food, water, medicine, fuel, can reach the people of Gaza. If not, thousands more will die needlessly. We cannot allow that to happen. A stop to the bombing is critical to save innocent lives and secure the safe return of hostages. Mr. President, let us never forget the lives of all children. All people are sacred, whether they are Palestinian children, Israeli children, or American children, and we must do everything we can to protect them. We need to understand somewhat as to how we got to where we are today. If peace is to come to that troubled region, and if the Palestinian people are ever going to be able to enjoy lives of security and dignity, there must be a vision of where we go in the future. So let us be clear. The living conditions in Gaza before October 7th were horrific and inhumane. In fact, many observers described Gaza as, quote, an open-air prison, end quote. In Gaza, Hamas, an authoritarian terrorist organization, ruled by force, stockpiling arms and war material, taxing the desperately poor population, and stealing resources to build tunnels and rockets. Make no mistake about it. Hamas is a terrorist organization bent on the destruction of Israel. They advance a fundamentalist ideology which treats women as inferior, second-class citizens, and which threatens to kill people who are gay. Hamas is an authoritarian nightmare, repressing dissent and stealing from Gazans not just many materials of life, but the dream of a better future. And what was going on in Israel before Hamas's terrorist attack? What was going on there? That country had the most right-wing government in its history, a cabinet that included outright racist ministers who consistently dehumanized the Palestinian population. Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister, was under indictment for a litany of corruption charges, and many believe that Israel's intelligence or lack of intelligence on October 7th had everything to do with his government's preoccupation with his political problems. And then came October 7th and Hamas's atrocities that began this latest and horrific war. The Hamas attack was unspeakable. Over 1,300 innocent men, women, and children in Israel were killed. Over 200 Israelis and Americans taken hostage, including young children and grandparents. Young people were gunned down in cold blood at a music festival, babies and older people brutally murdered in their homes. And let's remember that Hamas did not primarily target the military. No, they intentionally targeted civilians. Their goal was to kill civilians. Their attack was designed to provoke a response, and in that, they succeeded. Mr. President, many Israelis are now understandably furious, and they want to strike back forcefully. I think we can all understand that. But rage and revenge do not make useful policy. And here in the United States, after the attack on 9/11 in this country, we acted with rage and revenge, and I think many people now understand that that was a horrific mistake. Mr. President, killing innocent Palestinian women and children in Gaza will not bring back to life the innocent Israeli women and children who have been killed by Hamas. Like any other country, Israel has the right to defend itself and destroy Hamas terrorism. But it does not have the right to kill thousands of innocent men, women, and children in Gaza. Israel does not have the right to endanger the lives of millions of Palestinians, half of whom are children, by shutting off water, food, fuel, and electricity. That type of action against a helpless and impoverished population is morally unacceptable and in violation of international law. Mr. President, the current Israeli strategy must end. Mr. President, let me conclude by saying that Israel must also begin the process of laying out a political strategy. It cannot bomb its way to a solution. Such a strategy must include, as minimum first steps, a clear promise that Palestinians displaced in the fighting will have the absolute right to safely return to their homes, a commitment to broader peace talks to advance a two-state solution in the wake of this war, an abandonment of Israeli efforts to carve up and annex the West Bank, and a commitment to work with the Palestinian Authority to build genuine governing capacity. The United States must make it clear that these are the conditions of our solidarity. Just as we want justice for the Israelis murdered by Hamas, we also want justice for the Palestinian people. And that is not going to happen with Hamas. Palestinians need a state of their own, contiguous, with the freedom of movement and access that can sustain a vibrant economy. Mr. President, this will be a long and difficult road. It will take concerted U.S. and international support and a doubling down of our political commitment to a two-state solution. But the first step right now must be to stop the bombing and bring in as much humanitarian aid as possible.